Our first question is that in COVID lockdown, a family of 20 people made the food provision for 30 days. Suddenly, 5 more people joined them. Now, the food will be used for how many days? Let's solve this. So now here we have two variables, number of people and number of days. So we'll first write two variables here. So the title of the variable will be number of people and number of days. So first we have to fill in this table with the variables that is given and what is being asked. So first it says that the provision of the food was for 30 days and then the number of people was 20, and then suddenly 5 more people joined them. So now the number of people is 25, and then we have to find the provision of food for how many days. Okay, so this is what we have to find. So this is very simple. Here what we'll do is we'll first try to understand if this is a direct proportion or an inverse proportion. Okay, so is this a direct or inverse proportion? So here we can see that as the number of people is increasing, will increase, as the number of people will increase, of course the same quantity, because here the food is constant. Food is constant, right? That is K, right? So here food is constant, so the same amount of food when the number of people will increase will suffice for lesser number of days. So when the number of people is increasing, the number of days will reduce. So if the number of people is increasing, the number of days will reduce. Right? So this is not a direct proportion, this becomes an inverse proportion. So this is the first step that we will try to find, that it's a direct proportion or an inverse proportion. Now when we know what the proportion, kind of proportion it is, then we will apply the method. For the inverse proportion, we will calculate it with the method that will multiply the number of people, 20 multiplied by 25, that is equal to number of days, that is 30x. So now with this formula, 30x will be, it will be 500. So now the calculation will be that 30x is equal to 20 multiplied by 25. So x will be 25 to the 50, that is 500 divided by 30. So we'll have to show this entire step so that there is no calculation mistakes. Now this equals to 50 divided by 3. If we can solve it further, then we can define the number of days. So if we can solve it further, it's fine, otherwise it will be in decimal. So 3 ones are 3, 4 5, 3 6 are 18, and then so this will be your answer, that the number of days will be 16.66 or 16.7. So this is our answer here. So our first step was that we'll understand that if this is a direct proportion or an inverse proportion, and then we will apply the method. That is our step number 2. And before this first step, we will make the table. So that is very important. This table will help us understand that is this a direct proportion or an inverse proportion. So the simple method is that you first lay out everything is what is written. First define the variables Then make the table. And then in the calculation, the first step will be to find if it is a direct proportion or an inverse proportion, and then solve it. So these two will be the steps for the calculation, step number 1 and step number 2 for the entire calculation, the entire understanding. After reading the question, you will first define the variable, then make this table, and then do the calculation. I hope you understood this.